I was lost. Always, I struggle with depression every day of my life, and I was lonely and always seeking to satisfy myself. I was extremely selfish. My testimony is selfishness.
We didn't know how to help him. He had gone to Sundown Ranch for rehab, and he was there like a month and a half. And we were hopeful at that point. But it was not Christian-based, and when he came home from that, he went right back into drugs. And I think that's when I started really just being more afraid.
Just days before I came to Freedom House, I had decided I was gonna go ahead and kill myself. There was absolutely no hope, and I was actually plotting how I was gonna do it and how I could do it without people realizing that I killed myself, where I was gonna go where nobody could find me. And probably 4 of the worst days of my life were plotting my own death. And the 4th day I came to my parents' house because I was fixing to tell them what that I was gonna leave. I was gonna make up some kind of a story and tell them I was gonna leave and go on a job somewhere or do something, and not really explain where I was going. And I was gonna tell them I loved them and just see where they were at and go and do it. And it was kind of like they were waiting for me when I showed up. They sat me down, and my eyes are all sunk into my head, and I was just pale white. I saw myself in the mirror as I came in, and my parents were both just weeping, and I mean, I could just really tell how much they cared for me. And so they sat me down and they asked me if I would be willing to go to Freedom House. And just seeing what they were going through, I got real complacent, and I told them I would go. And so I actually thought it would be an opportunity for me to get away from them long enough to go kill myself. So I figured I'd be here about 3 days. And I think the second day I was here, it was a Sunday, and you, Jeremy, put me on the spot in church and had me get up and tell everybody where I had come from and why I was here, what I wanted. And I even got up. I even got up to lie. I was going to tell a story, and all that came out was just the truth. And that was like the Lord controlling my tongue. And so it was a little glimmer of hope. And then everybody, after I was done speaking, I asked for prayer. And before I could get to my seat, Jeremiah had pulled out a chair in the middle of the room. And everybody laid their hands on me and prayed for me, and I'd never felt that kind of a love before in my life.
I have not seen this son since he was 10 or 12 years old. because I think it's been that long that he's in part been controlled by his demons, the drug and alcohol demons. And just to know my son again, to see this kid who's clean and sober, I've told him many times, I crave those moments when I can be with a clean and sober Derek. And this ministry has given me more of those moments in the last few months than I've had in the last decade. So that alone on a personal basis is just priceless to me.
I know that He is the vine and I'm the branch, and if I abide in Him, then He's going to be glorified. And so I'm going to stand on that promise, and I believe that He's going to see me through.
The difference in Miller, because I was hesitant to believe that it was a real difference, has been proven over the amount of time that the change has been in him, and there is a sweetness in his attitude, and there is still a strong will, but there is a willingness to temper that will and let it be under Jesus Christ. And even though he has a hard time doing that, he still has a willingness to do that, which is unlike any other time, because he has a temper that can flare like we all do when we're not getting our way. But he can recognize it, he can apologize for it, and he can start again. And that's never happened before. And also, the consistency of the long term is proving itself.
Monday morning, I was in a foul mood. I took Jared to work and I was fit to be tied. I was in a foul mood. And I saw a guy walking down the highway on the way back from taking Jared to work, and I thought to myself, I've got to do something nice for somebody because I'm in a foul mood. And so I stopped and picked him up, and the guy started yapping about all these so-called Christians wouldn't give him a ride, been walking since Dallas. And I said, well, here's one that gave you a ride. Let me tell you, where do you want to go? I wouldn't have done that. Being in a Mexican prison, catching people in a service, I always figured that I'd be in a Mexican prison, but I always figured I'd be a resident, not a guest.
Freedom House, man, the only thing I can think of is it's just a doorway to God. It's a doorway to knowing God, and that's all you need to know in this life. I mean, I can tell you I'd be lost right now if it weren't for this place. So.
He is again that person that I could see when he was a child. He's Mark again, I'm sorry. He's becoming the man he was always supposed to be. It's quite literally a miracle, quite literally. To have him restored to me is amazing. I am very grateful.
I've never been prayed for like that. And I can remember that was the night that I can link that back to the night when the power of God, the grace of God, power over sin came into my life. And I'm only here because of people's prayer.
I will say that I am eternally grateful for you and how the Lord has worked in you, and that you have such a love for these guys, and especially that you have a love for my son. And whoever loves my son, I love them. So, and I thank you.
the service that you provide here is amazing. To offer a place where young men can pull away from the world. You know, in the Bible it says, "Be still and know that I am God." This is a place where they can be still and not have the clamor of the world to distract them. They can focus on their relationship with God, and they can focus on what they need to learn to become the men they were always intended to be. That is an amazing thing.